Hi, all. Welcome to this very special interview with Women Who Win. I'm Charlene, one of our co founders and our co CEO. Today, we are excited to share the special Yuva Udaan program through Ekal Vidyalay. We are joined by USA Executive Director Manisha Jain, as well as 5 incredible teens who travel to India and engage with kids across new skills such as coding, basketball, and art. Truly inspiring. To start us off, I'm going to pass it over to Manisha Ji to share an overview of this program.
Thank you, Shaleen. What an honor to be here with you. So, Ekal Yuva Udaan is the story of young hearts crossing oceans, carrying with them curiosity, compassion, and creativity. That's how I like to describe it. It actually began with two sisters from Massachusetts, Mahi and Myra Bijoria, who traveled to an Ekal village in India last year, and they carried paintbrushes, colors, simple tools of joy to children who had never held them before. And that week, I would say laughter mixed with the smell of fresh paint, and something new took root. A spark that showed what happens when youth step forward to share and serve. And that spark grew wings a year later in August 2025 when Ekal Yuva Udaan. Yuva Udaan simply means the flight of youth. And we started our first pilot program this year in August. Mahi and Myra returned to the same village, but this time they were joined by Mihir, Rohan, and Myra Tyagi, who visited villages in Songar, Gujarat. And these 5 students, they went with open hearts, ready to teach and to learn. They introduced art, sports, technology, but what they took back was just as precious. And they will all tell you about it. They imbibed the resilience of rural India, the warmth of its people, the simple joys found in togetherness, the sanskars or ethics of India, and most importantly, the value of seva or service. And finally, this program culminated on India's Independence Day. And as the tricolor flag rose high above the village, the children together danced, painted murals, shared stories, and received certificates of participation. And in that moment, it became clear that Yuva Udaan was never just an exchange program. It was a bridge built not with bricks, but with friendship, hope, and humanity. For the US students, this journey was a discovery of India's strength, spirit, and wisdom. And for the Indian students, it was a glimpse into new worlds of creativity and possibility. And for everyone involved, it was proof that youth is a force, and when young people come together with open hearts, they don't just exchange skills, they weave bonds that last a lifetime. So that is Ekal Yuva Udaan for you, and we are very proud of these incredible teenagers.
That is such an incredibly beautiful program. And it's really inspiring to see how the program is encouraging kids to, one, get in touch with their culture, but also really pay it forward. I'm going to open it up to our incredible teens now. First, I would love to hear from all of you. What inspired you to join the program in the first place? We can start off with Myra.
Yeah, so I would say what originally inspired me was just the fact that I have so many opportunities here, but those opportunities aren't always available for the kids in India. Like, I never had to worry that I wouldn't be able to access the resources to pursue a hobby. I've done art, I've done dance, I've done playing instruments, but in India, those possibilities aren't available to everyone. And I would say that was what originally led me to go my first time. And then the second time, I would say it was just the memories that brought me back, painting with them, laughing with them, just interacting with them. I would say those pieces really stayed with me, and I didn't originally expect that I would have the chance to go back. But once I realized I did, I was just so excited to have the opportunity to teach them something new, something that many of them had actually asked for.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's wonderful that you went back the second time as well. What about you, Mahi?
Honestly, my answer is probably going to be very similar to Myra. I know that I have a lot of privilege here, and the kids in India definitely don't have a lot of opportunities in comparison to the kids in America. So I knew they would definitely jump on the chance to learn something new. They just needed the chance. I would also say that since a lot of my workshops were focused on art, I know that India is a very colorful country and its entire culture is based around art. So I really wanted to see how the students would take the ability to have those resources and have those lessons and put their own cultural spin on the projects we were working on.
I love that. And I love that point on if you just give them the chance and the resources, anything could happen. And yeah, what about you, Rohan?
For me, I was inspired to join Ekal because I wanted to make like a difference on other people's lives while also learning from them. And like the idea of like sharing skills, building connections, and like bringing joy through like simple activities like basketball and like coding, like motivated me to be a part of joining Ekal.
That's really cool. And I'm sure like connecting over sports is like a really good way to build bonds. And what about you, Mahir?
My motivation was just a desire to serve other people, other kids, and recognizing that the programming knowledge and basketball or the different gifts and the knowledge that has been imparted on me. It's almost my duty to teach that to other kids who are so much less privileged.
Of course. Oh, that's wonderful. Awesome. Well, we can dive into our next set of questions. This is for Mahir and Rohan. So, firstly, I would love to hear when you first walked into those schools in Gujarat, what was going through your mind? We can start with Mahir.
Yeah, so for me, I had a mix of emotions. I mean, I was excited for sure, but just arriving in a place that I've never really seen before was definitely intimidating. Having never really taught in a formal environment like that, seeing all these kids and these people, welcoming us, it definitely intimidated me a little bit. But I think that was part of the process and part of me and Rohan growing. So yeah.
No, for sure. I'm sure there was so many growth opportunities and being in a new environment like that. What about for you, Rohan?
At first, I felt like a mix of nerves and excitement because I didn't know exactly what to expect. But once I got there, I felt happy, welcomed, and like inspired. Seeing everyone's smiles and energy made me feel proud and like grateful to be a part of it.
So you both taught the kids a lot of technology, such as motion sensors and coding. Tell me more about that experience. What was it like teaching these tools to the kids, and what were some of the concepts that you covered?
Um, like at first, there was some hesitation. Coding seemed like this big thing, but the moment they saw their code come to life, like turning the LED light on or like triggering the motion sensor, you could see like their faces like brighten up. They were like fascinated, proud, and eager to try more. For me, it was inspiring to watch their curiosity transform into confidence. Like they were all super happy after they finished actually coding.
Yeah, I think when we met the kids in terms of computer knowledge, they were at a perfect place because they knew how to type and just perform basic operations on computers, and I think they started working with some things in Excel. So we met them at a perfect place, and every time we taught a new concept, every time we introduced new lines of code, and every time they saw like lights light up or audio buzzers go off, you could definitely just see their growth and the interest that was slowly growing inside them. And yeah, I mean their talent was not lacking. That was not a question. So I think our mission of just planting that seed of interest was pretty successful.
That's awesome. And I love what you said about that you kind of met them at the perfect place where they had these skills and you were able to help expand them. I also want to talk about some of the sports you guys did. Many of these kids had probably never seen a basketball before. So curious, what was their reaction when they first started playing? And did you have a favorite moment when you were teaching basketball to the kids?
Yeah, so I mean, our first reaction was we were kind of shocked to see their like them not knowing being in contact with the kind of stuff we're in relating to basketball. Like, I'm sure if you ask any kid in like the US, like, do you know who LeBron James is, they'll probably say yeah, but like when we asked them, they were like they had no clue. And so them looking at a basketball and playing for the first time, I mean, right away they were onto it. They were having a lot of fun, because basketball is like a kind of reward based sport. Like every time the ball goes in the net, you get that sort of satisfaction and happiness. So um, teaching them was a great experience, and probably my favorite moment was on the last day after we taught them some basic skills like passing, shooting, dribbling. We let them compete in different games, and you could see that competitive instinct kick in.
What about for you, Rohan?
Um, for the kids, I feel like they were surprised at first, like just staring at a basketball, not knowing what to do. Like, but once we showed them how to dribble and shoot, their faces lit up. Like the excitement of making their first baskets was like unforgettable. And they laughed, they cheered for each other, and they were amazed. They were all very competitive. By like we taught them some games, and it became like a very competitive sport.
That's awesome. It must have been really beautiful to see all the skills actually come to life on the court towards the end of the trip. That's amazing. And of course, while you guys were incredible coaches, I'm sure you also learned a lot on this trip. So tell me more. What did you learn from this experience? And was there a moment on the trip that particularly resonated with you?
The one thing I learned was that like people here get so many opportunities and have the talent, but in like where we went, they all had the talent, but they didn't have the opportunities. So once we taught these coding and basketball, we could see that they all knew they had the talent to play these and do these things. So it was like something like new for me, but something I learned, which is pretty amazing.
For me, one thing that I learned from this experience was just picking up on the kids' abilities to stay happy and stay satisfied with whatever conditions they're in, and not letting that affect um, their happiness. Like us being in the U.S., getting so many more privileges than we're always complaining about like the smallest of things, but then seeing what these kids live in and how different it is from here, and seeing how they're so much more humble. It definitely gives us a lot of stuff to learn from.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, both. It sounds like those are really incredible experiences. I'm going to pass it off to Mahi to hear more about some of the art you've been teaching. You taught the kids so many new skills across all of these different art forms. I would love to hear more. What was their reaction like when you showed them something new?
The initial reaction upon seeing all the materials was definitely excitement and enthusiasm, and there was definitely that eagerness to learn. And so they would all like show up with huge smiles on their faces, and they would be so excited to get the materials. I'm not gonna lie though, since crochet is such a like difficult skill to pick up on, it can take a few minutes. So, especially in the first days, you could notice that there was a frustration in the kids when they were struggling to do it, especially since in India, kids hold like crochet hooks differently than we do in America. So, it was difficult to get through that gap. But what was really amazing was that they would not give up. They were so dedicated. And if they didn't get it the first day, they would take the materials home and then they would continue to practice until they get it. The first day, I like taught them like a very simple like chain stitch, and when I came back they had all made these chains that were like meters long, and some of them had even like made mini purses and tiny hats. So it was really amazing to see how far that enthusiasm got them, and it was amazing to be welcomed so warmly with such large smiles.
No, that's incredible. And I love what you said about how they didn't give up. And it can be frustrating at first when you're teaching a new skill and it takes some time to really learn it. So I'm sure you learned a lot through that experience. I know you also worked on a mural with the kids. Would love to hear more about your experience with that.
Yeah, so last year I also did a mural. So this year we did something similar, except this time I had them design the mural. So I asked them to make a bunch of small drawings and I put them together. So that was definitely really exciting for the kids as they got to put their own ideas on a wall. And it's really hard work to put a mural together, so I was really glad the students had the dedication to work through rain and heat and all of it. And it was really amazing to see it come together color by color, piece by piece. And it was really amazing to see the students come together and the teachers, because the teachers also joined us at some point, to all work together on this team building project to really make a piece of artwork that would last some generations.
Awesome. What was the mural of?
Oh, yeah, that's actually a really good question. So it was a landscape. It was like a mountain landscape. There were lakes, but there was also a temple, a peacock, and some lotus flowers.
That sounds beautiful. Well, and it sounds like you have a lot of those sort of Indian motifs in there, such as the lotus flower. That's amazing. So you went back to this program for a second time, which is really incredible. I would love to know what inspired you to go back and if there was something in particular that really resonated with you.
It was honestly the kids, their motivation, their respect, the gratefulness they showed us. But it was more than that. It was also friendship. We made the girls and boys their promises that we would come back, that we would show them something new, and we wanted to keep those promises. On top of that, I also had a project I had been working on for 2 years, Hats for Hope, which I crocheted hats for the kids in rural India. So I wanted them to know what it felt like to give as well and not just to receive,
Mhm.
which was why I not only did art this year, but I also did crochet. So once they could get the hang of how to make hats or blankets, they could donate them if they wanted to, and they could also teach others.
That's awesome.
That way, the project got a lot bigger.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mahi. I'm going to pass it to Myra now. I hear you're an incredible dancer and you taught some wonderful dance workshops to the kids. Yeah, could you tell us more about that?
Actually, I'm not sure about the incredible dancer part because an interesting thing about this was that I've only been dancing 2 years. And the reason I taught dance to these girls was because the first year I went, I asked them what they might want to do in a future program, and they all told me that they wanted to learn how to dance. I would say we asked 20 different people, and almost every single one of them said, we want to learn how to dance. Teach us Bollywood, teach us Bharatanatyam. So the plan was that we would run the dance workshop for 4 days, and then at the end, we would have a performance for Independence Day. And I would say the time restraint was particularly challenging because 4 days isn't a lot to teach a choreography for 3 songs to people who've never danced before. Which leads me to my favorite part about the workshop, which was just watching them grow. At first, as you would expect, timing was off, it wasn't super graceful, the girls couldn't remember their steps. However, they never stopped trying and they had so much enthusiasm. They started showing up to the school before I even came, and they would all practice together in front of the mirror. And I think that's when the shift really took place and they started becoming more confident. They started encouraging each other, correcting their mistakes. They started dancing as a group instead of individually. And soon they were doing really well. They were accomplishing all the steps almost perfectly. And by the time the fourth day of the program came around, the day before the performance, I wasn't worried anymore. And I was just so excited to see how the final culmination of our workshop would go. And it was beautiful.
That's amazing. What were the performances? What kind of dance did you focus on there?
So, what we did was, I would say maybe a semi classical sort of style because it was for Independence Day. So, we picked the songs based on that theme. We danced to Desh Rangila, Desh Mera, and Tera Do. And I Actually, one really cool part about it was that we had dupattas in the color of India's flag, and we used them as props. And at the end, we kind of all stood in a line to connect the dupattas to make one large flag.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, do you feel like you were able to bond with the girls through dance?
Yes, absolutely. One that was probably one of my favorite things about this year because the year before I didn't have nearly as much time to bond with them, but this time I was able to eat lunch with them and they're a talkative bunch. They asked me a bunch of questions, I asked them some questions. We talked for like at least 30 minutes each rehearsal.
That's amazing. And as you mentioned earlier with the dance rehearsals, there was a lot of learning, a lot of chaotic moments. Curious if there was a specific moment in this dance experience that really sticks with you.
Um yeah, I would say one like huge event that like still makes me so happy thinking about it is actually one of the girls' birthdays. Her name was Anandi and she was actually one of my most eager students. Like the first day, she asked me if she could be in the front. She promised she would practice a lot. And then she said that it would be a really great birthday present because her birthday was the next day. So I was like, okay, I have to do something for her because a lot of these girls never have like large birthday celebrations, and I thought that, I could give it to them at least once. So what we did is we bought like I think 3 cakes for all the kids in the school, and we brought them out at the end of rehearsal and we sung happy birthday, I think 3 separate times because it was off key the first two.
Fun.
Um, yeah, and I think that was just my favorite part. Everyone shared cake, like there were smiles across the room, laughter everywhere, and she was so happy. Like her face was covered in frosting, but her smile shone through.
That's amazing. It sounds like a really incredible experience. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing these incredible experiences. Before we end, I want to ask each of you to share one piece of advice you would give to another teenager interested in participating in the Yuva Udaan program. We can start with Rohan.
So my advice would be like don't be afraid to try it even if you're unsure at first. You'll quickly realize how fun it is and like rewarding. You'll learn like many new skills, create memories, and it'll be an experience that'll be much more enjoyable once you're there.
Awesome. What about you, Mahir?
My advice would kind of piggybacking off what Rohan said. Just don't let your initial fears dictate what you kind of think about this experience. Going there, it's not just you teaching them, but they also teach you a lot of things. It's mutualistic. You learn a lot of stuff that helps you grow a lot as a person. And just putting yourself in the shoes of those kids, just thinking about how much privilege you have and how many opportunities you have, and using that and wanting to serve and teach other kids who are less privileged. So
That's awesome. Paying it forward. What about for you, Myra?
Pretty similar to what's already been said. Like, doubt is normal, like doubting yourself, but don't let it hold you back. You might think that you're not good enough to teach this, or that the students might laugh at you, or they won't listen to you. But everyone feels that, and you should really just go for it because the moment you start, like, you'll realize that those mistakes are just there to like forge new relationships. They're memories that you create with your students. And it's more about the effort than the perfection. And you learn from them. You might be a teacher, but you're also there to learn from the students and learn from your own mistakes. So I guess the bottom line is not to overthink it or wait to be ready. Just dive in.
That's wonderful. No, I totally see that. Often it can be easy to get nervous and overthink in an experience like this. So, yeah, so that's great advice. What about for you, Mahi?
I think I would tell the students to just go with the flow since this is a kind of experience where everything just happens at once and it's easy to overplan things, but really the best part of this experience is what happens outside of the plan, in the friendships you make and the fun little moments that you have with your students. It's really such a large community that there is no way that it can go wrong, and there's always someone that has your back.
That's awesome. And our final question, if you had to describe your experiences in one word, what would it be?
The one word I would choose is inspiring.
Awesome. What about you, Mahir?
One word that described my trip would be moving.
Moving. Nice. Inspiring, moving. What about for you, Mahi?
I would say that my word is community.
Community. I love that. And for you, Myra?
I would say my one word is pulse.
Pulse. That's interesting, actually. Could you expand?
Yeah, of course. I actually put a lot of thought into this question. I feel like there's a few different meanings you can take from it. For one, pulse is rhythm, it's music, which was part of every rehearsal. It's how the girls stayed in time. It's also heartbeat. It's like your heart racing before a performance, the relief of finally finishing, or the excitement right before you're about to perform. There was like the energy of the room that was like pulsing throughout the workshop, and also the sense of rhythm in the community. But it also like summed up how alive I felt throughout the workshop. Like being there really let me um stay in the present in every moment and be more attuned to like the people around me. So I feel like it was sharing, like I was sharing a pulse with everyone there and all the people I was teaching.
Oh, that's incredible. I can't even imagine what that feeling must have been like when you were in the room with them and really experiencing that community live. And of course, we would love to hear from our Ekal USA Executive Director, Manisha Jain. What is your one word?
Well, Charlene, thank you so much for giving me that opportunity. After listening to these kids and watching everything that they've done, my one word truly is pride. I have incredible pride for what these kids have accomplished. They really stepped outside their comfort zone. They were there in the stifling heat, probably monsoon. Rather than being in an air conditioned room in a hotel, they chose to spend a week in the villages, very, very different from what they were used to. But more important, what they came back with, the values that they truly imbibed from this program are incredible. And today, I feel that for them today, India is something that they can relate to. It's not just a country where their parents came from. And these are lifelong bonds that they have made with India. So, really proud of them.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I also want to share that we have an incredible video that really captures the essence of the Yuva Udaan program from one of the program participants. Her name is Maya Tyagi, and we are going to show you that video next.
My name is Myra Tyagi, and I am 13 years old. I recently went to India on an internship program to teach kids art in a small village. I'm usually shy and quiet, so this trip was a big challenge for me, but I love painting and I wanted to share that with others. Before the trip, I practiced paintings and got all the supplies ready. We sent the materials to India so we didn't have to carry them with us. When I arrived, everyone was so kind. They welcomed us with flower petals and smiles. I taught art to kids who have never painted before. One of the biggest moments for me was teaching a group of 19 kids. Many of them were much older than me. At first, I felt nervous and unsure, but once I started, I realized that they were here to learn, and that made me feel okay. One of the girls in my art class taught me to apply mehndi, which I had never done before. It started with simple drawings to break the ice, and then moved on to full paintings. One day, as a team, we made a big canvas together, using handprints to look like the Indian flag. It was a really special moment.
हमको पढ़ना आता है।
We also visited Ekal School in a village where kids sang prayers. They wore worn-out school uniforms. Even though they didn't have much, they seemed happy, content, and welcoming. It made me think about how lucky I am and how important it is to share what we have. This trip helped me grow. I stepped out of my comfort zone and met amazing people. The kids I met are just like me, but they don't have the same chances. I am proud I got to teach them something, and I'll always remember this experience.
So thanks to all of our incredible teens here today, as well as Manisha Ji and the incredible leaders behind Ekal Vidyalaya for this wonderful program. We are so excited to see this program continue to grow and reach new heights. You are truly paying it forward. And thank you to our Women Who Win community for watching.